$262,000. The storm balance, unfortunately, was negative, almost $170,000, giving us a beginning balance of approximately $92,000. Revenue, I went over that earlier on the slide. The expected versus the actual. The total revenue, $647 for the sanitary, $25,000 for the storm, $673, and we just kind of outlined the expenses. So that left us a balance of $443,000 in the sanitary, approximately negative $144 in the storm. So overall, $299,000. Remember one thing, that $1.2 million that I talked about earlier, the difference between the expected and the actual. Had that been in there, our program, we could have done a lot more with it. Instead, we've been kind of just basically responding to emergency calls and doing, under Ross's direction in the past, hitting his hot spots and things like that. And we are trying to get more into a program of hitting the city over 3-4 years. We took the liberty of, on page 12, of giving you a quick, if you have questions, please interrupt me.
No, I was just wondering if this part had anything to do with the watershed, or it does not?
Watershed. No, this is, no.
Okay, that's two different segments.
Two different, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, I got a question.
Sure.
Page 7, you have 2014 revenue.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's for the entire county?
Oh, no, this is for you, for 2000, page 7.
Page 7.
Yeah. Total revenue, that's $961,000.
That's just for East Cleveland?
That should have been for East Cleveland, that's what we expected, but we actually only received $673,000. So the difference is $308,000 that we didn't receive because of foreclosures, delinquencies, and so on. And that's why I'm saying, that's how I come up with that $1.2 million. Had that all been there, that's a lot more money we could have been servicing and fixing a lot of problems.
How's the delinquency being handled?
That's all handled by the county fiscal office.
Okay.
Yeah, and through the, what used to be the county treasurer and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's all combined. And it's important that I show you this because if we do projections, I don't want to do it unexpected. We got to look at what we're getting, or else we're going to all be kidding ourselves, because that's $1.2 million. When we first merged, I had no idea of knowing what the delinquency rate at the time was. And that's how we set that rate of $2.50. We were trying to figure out how much money we would need to actually run a decent program. And unfortunately, we're not quite capturing what was expected. Sure.
I stepped out for a minute, but I just wanted to know, you've been dealing with this for 4 years, correct?
Correct.
Okay, my question to you is, basically from what you've seen, what is your assessment of our system? How does it look since it's an old entering suburb?
I'm the finance. I'm going to let the guy actually handle
Your
it.
system hasn't been properly assessed yet. During when I was talking
Stand up, sir.
how we had worked with your city engineer in the past.
Okay.
And when we first stepped in the program, he had us chasing some areas he knew that were deficient, needed attention right away, and that's where we started our program. With 2014, everything we did, we found some deficiencies, which is normal for any community, but we're also starting in 2015 a scheduled cleaning. We broke the city down to 3-year segments. So in 2015, we're doing the first segment. We've already done 30 streets in it. The videos have been brought back to the office. We haven't reviewed them yet. When we review them, if we find anything deficient, we send them to our engineer department, and then we make a determination of how they should be fixed. So right now, it's hard to get a total assessment of your whole system. We're going to try to get it clean, maintained, and put back working properly first, and then see what we have.
Thank you.
Sure.
So like I said, I was getting back to, we took the liberty on page 12 to do a projection of where the balances are. So once again, we got the beginning balance. Revenue, we're going to say it's pretty much consistent. There's no sense trying to, I'd rather be conservative. That's exactly what we collected, in 2014, so we're going to assume the same. Expenses, the maintenance, $372,000. We have, emergency task, another $350,000, of which we've already used $100,000 of it, and $80,000 we set aside for capital. If I don't use this, or we don't use it, it stays in the account, but I'd want you to have a good feeling that we're trying to project. There are going to be things that pop up that need to get done outside of what I would consider our normal maintenance, which is the jetting, televising, the house calls, things like that. We may have to dig into the streets and fix some bigger problems. So I wanted to plan a little bit for that as well. Long story short, that leaves us at the very bottom, about $165,000 positive overall. On page 13, there's some items listed here, and I'm going to ask our engineer to speak briefly on this, but just note on page 13, these costs are not included in the numbers I just went over with you. These are going to be above and beyond that. And this is David Marquardt, he's our county engineer.
Good evening. Nice to see you all. The 2015 sewer engineering priorities were identified. Of course, they're not all of the needs for the system, but they're the ones that kind of popped up as issues as we went along. What we'll find is if there's a intensive maintenance program that gets started, what happens is we start to clean and TV those parts of the system, and that's where deficiencies start to show up. We'll work with maintenance, and of course at that point then start identifying and prioritizing what additional work is needed. These were the ones that were specifically discovered at this point for 2015. One is a sinkhole. It was referred to us to take a look at it. It's at Doane and Hayden. Our sanitary engineering department went out and investigated at least took a look at what the surface looked like, and also viewed some videos of the sanitary sewer system to see if there was a cause related to the sewers. Sometimes the sewers will be broken, the soil will go into the sewer, and the sinkhole could be caused by that break in the sewer. We didn't find any sewer issues that related to a sinkhole that was out in the pavement area. We do feel that there was some water line work that was done in the area, and that could have been maybe poor backfilling procedures, something that occurred as a result of that water line work. But it's not caused by the sanitary sewer. The second item was the Shawbrook repair at Elm and East 141st. That's a brick sewer repair of a combined sewer. We intend to do that around June with Terrace Construction. We have them under construction contract services contract, and we have them scheduled to come in June and do the repair. The third one, which is Doane and Bardwell, that's a combined catch basin and storm manhole. That's a fairly detailed design repair because of all of the piping that comes into it. So it'll involve some engineering work up front. Terrace Construction is also scheduled to do that this summer. We were waiting to accomplish that work till after school was out. There's school buses that use that route, so we thought we would wait until the school session was over and accomplish the work at that point. The fourth one is potential work that we've identified. We just don't have a cost estimate for it yet. We have to review the information on the sewer and then come up with what the total cost will be. We just don't have that developed yet. But it's a complete, we did see that the sewers were in very poor condition, and there's full replacement that's needed for those sanitary sewers in that location.
Have you all, and I'm just asking, identified most of the sinkholes? Because there is a big sinkhole on Melbourne, and I think the individuals came out and put gravel in it in the orange container, orange cone. So it is a enormous sinkhole there, and myself and the vice president has reported it, and I just want to know, do you identify the different sinkholes that are around, even though they might be on a side street?
Well, we would go out if we were asked to take a look at the sinkhole, if it's potentially related to the sanitary sewer, a possible sanitary sewer issue. A lot of times it may come from maintenance.
Okay.
It might be a call from the mayor or someone from the administration. In the past, I believe it was from the city engineer, but right now we
don't have a city.
don't have someone to communicate with yet. But anyone can call either our engineering group or the maintenance group, and we'll, if we think it's sewer related, we'll get out and do the investigation.
I think someone did come out because they put gravel in it, because it's continuing to sink. But they put gravel in it and the cone. But I'm just, it's a sinkhole, and I don't know whether it's related to, directly where it's related to, but it's sinking right there in front of one of my seniors' homes. Okay, so, we'll probably give, my fellow over here, the address, and I'm sure he'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to interrupt your presentation.
No, that's fine.
Dave, before you continue, I wanted to ask you, this way right here where it says potential Rosemont Avenue sewer repairs.
Yes.
Okay, what is your guesstimate, I would say, to repair? Is that's a sewer problem?
Yeah, unfortunately, at the time we prepared this, we don't have a determination yet of the full length of the sewer that needs to be fixed.
Mhm.
We just know that it's a problem area and it's in need of work, but we don't have an estimate yet. As soon as we get that, we could get the estimate to you if you want
Okay.
to see it, but it's not prepared yet.
Thank you.
Moving right along.
Thanks, David. I want to stand corrected on a statement I made before David came up. The first two items, the 40,000 and the 60,000,
What page you on?
I'm sorry, I'm still on page 13.
Okay.
David was just going over, I made the statement that these were not part of our budget for this year. We do have money in the budget for these things. As I said, we've already used 100,000 of the 350. This is going to be another 100,000, so you can see now I'm down to 150 of a budget balance remaining for other potential unforeseen items. Now, whether this Rosemont comes in on that dollar amount or not, we may have that covered as well in our numbers. The question continues on is what else is out there that we don't know about. So I just wanted to stand corrected because I originally said that that was not included, but it is. So moving along to page 14, this is kind of a comparison to some of the other communities where the city is. The far right is the city at $2.50, which is what we started back in 2011. We show Gates Mills at $10. They had tremendous amount of pump station needs, and they chose to pay for it through our program. We took loans out on their behalf, and obviously they don't have a lot smaller amount of users, residents, so their charge is a lot more. You can see on the far left is Garfield Heights, and then our regional rate, which the majority of our communities cover, is right around that $2.75, which you guys are below that. One of the things is on that note too, like Mayfield Village, they're at $4. Brecksville's at $3.10. This is just, you don't have it in the slide, I'm just giving you some scenarios. Olmsted Township, $3.97, Newburgh Heights is $5.50. So there's rates all over, there are a few obviously under. Usually the ones under have a pretty large amount of residents, and they have a pretty healthy balance over the years, and there's not as much as a difference between the actual and the expected revenue. Obviously that hurts us as well here. If you go to page 15, this is kind of some of our priorities. And one of the goals that we're trying to get at is to be more reactive versus proactive. As Brian mentioned, the former engineer had us hit here, here, and here, and what Brian's trying to do now is start from one end and do all the streets and keep moving forward. Because believe it or not, as soon as we clean the system, who ultimately is the benefit is the individuals in the audience, the residents and yourselves, because having their basement flood and sewage in there, that's an inconvenience and it's a cost to them. So by maintaining getting these sewers cleaned, identifying potential collapses that are out there. I'm sure there's issues out there that we don't even know about, but until we get through all the system and identify them, we can't truly give you a true assessment and a true capital plan and a true idea of where you're at. But right now, we're doing the best we can with the funds that are available. So our goal is to kind of be more reactive, get on that cleaning schedule, get on a TV schedule, catch basin schedule. And one of the things I want to mention to you at the bottom is the storm, the storm fund. As you know, it was negative from our previous slides. And I indicated to you, you guys are slightly below the regional rates. One of the things that we're asking for, and one of our components is we don't know what else is out there. And if the entire balance goes negative, what then? So we got to start building a reserve and start planning for this. And one of the things I want to note to you, though, we're recommending possibly for you guys to consider a 50-cent increase. What does 50 cents, and how does it impact the residents? It's about $28 a year. It's $28 to $28. It's a lot of money, but once again, if we have one big break or something we don't have, there is no money to cover it. So right now, we're really close to, we need to start setting up a reserve. And this way, by these guys continuing on with their cleaning schedule, they can identify the capital problems, and then we can start solving some bigger problems and ultimately relieving people's basements from flooding. The other thing too is then those house costs should start dropping as well. So that's one of the things that we actually think you guys should consider. Now, one of the things you have to understand too is we have a timeline. We have to get all of our assessments certified by the first Monday in September. We have to bring it before our county council by August 1st to do that. So that means we have from now until August 1st to kind of work this out, which doesn't seem like a lot of time. Otherwise, we lose an entire another year, because the earliest we could start, if you guys agree to, is January 1st of 2016. If we don't make that August deadline, now we're in 2017, you got a whole other year of problems. And there may come a time when, it's going to be a lot bigger than, the impact of the residents possibly, if there are big breaks. I don't know. But I just wanted you guys, we wanted you guys to consider, where you're at financially, what we're trying to do for you, and just to consider this 50-cent increase. And having said that, the last page really is our contact information. I think the last person down on the list, Brian Hitch, is the one you want to call. So circle that number. And
We will.
Mike, you can follow up.
So that's basically our presentation. We gave this to the mayor about a month ago, and then it just took time to get on the schedule to bring it forward and bring it to the council. But our intent is we go out to all of our communities and do a presentation like this to their councils also, just to say this is where we are today. This is what we foresee in the future, and to provide you some options. And unfortunately, the option here that we're throwing at you is we believe that there needs to look at a rate increase, and we can go into further discussion on this in another hearing or setting if you'd like. Okay.
I have one further question before you guys leave, and this may be more directed to Mr. Hitch. The city has a responsibility to clean the streets. What impact does it have when the city's not cleaning the streets in terms of the debris that goes through a sewer and piles up over a period of time? Because we're not very good at that. And does that have an impact in saving in terms of sewer diminishing, destruction, that kind of thing?
Well, yeah, sure. Every time the sewer is neglected, hasn't been cleaned properly or ill-maintained, this is the first thing that we ran across like that. As you know, catch basins aren't collecting water. The water's sitting in the streets. In the winter, it's eroding the streets faster. During heavy rainstorms in the summer months, it can be a safety hazard when water's sitting in the streets that can't get in the system. And if you don't maintain the sanitary sewer properly, that's what we found out a lot. A lot of the jetting was like 5,000 feet, which is a large number, but because every time we came out to East Cleveland, it seemed like when we do a house call, one of our procedures to do in the house call is to check the main out front. Let's make sure the main's running good. Many times we got out here and the main was running slow or even blocked.
Yeah.
And that could be a potential for the whole street to back up.
Now, is it our responsibility to do that, or your responsibility?
Well, you contracted with us to do this.
Do it,
It was
okay.
the city's responsibility to contract it with us. Now we take that responsibility from you.
Okay.
I got two places.
And another reason why I said that, because if I'm looking at the proactive versus the reactive, if we did the increase, I think we're being proactive and preventive also. $28 in terms of what the calls that these council people get in terms of sewer backing up when we get these big rains. So I hope people are cognizant or be aware of this. Thank you.
we found out through the maintenance program also that those numbers decrease. And it doesn't take us as long as we stay in this program for years. The first time running through the program may take us a while to get through one street. Sometimes it might take us a day to do a whole street. The next year round, it might take us 4 hours to do that whole street because it's already been cleaned once. So the cost goes down if the program's been maintained properly. It's like anything else, if you maintain it, it's cheaper to maintain.
Brian, I believe there's some jetting or something happening at Elm and Alder.
Right.
I noticed that when they're finished, the catch basin or the sewer cover is more or less is tilted still. Is it supposed to be secured? Because this is like the third call I've received, and I stay on these 141st. So,
No, they
I've seen
shouldn't
it
be
as
at
well.
all. And if that
Okay.
is a problem, they could call that 443 so we'll send someone right away to fix that.
Yeah,
problem.
there's been like 3. I've driven around at like 3 in the morning and I've seen it. I hit one of them the other day on Elm and East 141st. I didn't see it to the last minute. If at all possible, when the crews or the contractors are out there working, if they can make sure that's absolutely secure, because I know at one point there probably was some asphalt that kept it, in place and with the inability to move or
Sure.
If
We
they
usually-
could,
they
if they could
usually
pay
report
more
those
close
back.
attention to that, because I would hate for somebody's tire to go down in the drain. I know I had my clerk call the service department at least once, and I was going to report the other one until she said you guys were on the agenda today.
Fine. I'll check on Al for you to make sure.
Okay.
And
And then also where that sinkhole,
Yeah.
where it's at, you know, the address.
Yeah, I just got that address. That address is 1237 Melbourne.
1237 Melbourne.
And I also, if my colleague is through with his,
Yes.
I also would like to say thank you very much, because this is not the first time that you guys have come out. But I like it when we ask you to come out and give us an update or give us, and this PowerPoint is really, I wish there was more people here. But I'll be having my ward meeting on the last Monday of the month, which is the 27th of this month. And I will be gathering some more information for those that didn't appear here at the council meeting. And we would try to get the information out, because I think there's another big concern that overshadows everything else that needs to be talked about, like the sewer district. And I really appreciate that, and I know my council colleagues appreciate that. And is there anything else that you would like to address to the gentleman before they leave? And it was short, sweet, and direct to the point. And since you're the money man, I know who to ask now.
Oh, boy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, back to the agenda. Madam Clerk?
Pending legislation in support of State Representative Ted Smith from District 8 regarding the rainy day fund, hoping to get some of that money. We're in the process of working on legislation, council offices, and we're going to be sending that upstairs to the law director.
I thought it
to
would,
look at it.
I thought it would be, to our advantage, to put something in a legal, form. And, please look for it, Madam Law Director, so that we can get it, out and, yes.
Well, Brandon had a question. I just wanted to make a statement to the public. That, in February, I sent a letter to the governor, Governor Kasich, about our financial situation in the city. Okay. If you had an opportunity to hear the governor's State of the State address, he brought up a rainy day fund. That's why I wrote him a letter. Okay, the rainy day fund is 1.5 billion. Not million, but billion. we have a rainy day situation here in the city of East Cleveland. I've spoken to the governor's people twice. I met with Kent Smith. He's followed up and he's doing what he, as our representative in this district. What he's attempting to do is get 6.7 million of local government funds that we should have got that they cut about 3 or 4 years ago. So right now, it's a hope and a prayer that we may get that. As you know, we didn't get the loan, Barbara, from the state, the 6.9 that we were supposed to get. So it's a situation that has a lot of probability. Kent was at the meeting, at my meeting a few weeks ago. He was at a meeting last night here in East Cleveland with Noah, and he also met at the library with Wheeler and Brandon King's meeting.
And he'll be at mine.
And he'll be at yours this coming Monday. So he did say, if I could, and he wants you to write these legislators to help. He wants you to do emails to these legislators. I didn't bring that with me. Do you? I don't know. Do you have yours with yours, Thomas or Brandon? But if I'll give you my number. I have a copy of it. But he's asking everybody to email this so that they can see it's just not a few people, but out of supposedly 17,000 people here, which I doubt now. We need to bombard these Republican legislators, and there were some Democrats, but Republicans are running the show. So it's a hope and a prayer, and it may help us to prevent this merger con game that's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Martin is correct, and we have another councilman that talked to the governor's office, our vice president, Mr. Wheeler.
But what I was going to piggyback on that was I received a couple emails today from residents that have already sent their email.
Okay.
And they CC'd me a copy of it.
Okay.
So they are, people have already started doing it.
And also, that's why I thought that it's very important that this council collectively get some legislation out here in support of that. You can talk about it and write about it and if you want to, but we want to let them know how much we need and how much we're appreciative of our representative. Even if he might not get it, it's the effort and the initiative that he's putting forth, going from place to place and talking. He had no reservations when I called him and said, I'm having my meeting on the 27th, would you come? Because there are a lot of people that are not at different meetings because of maybe work, because of illness, because of anything that which prohibit them from being at certain meetings. And I appreciate Councilman Martin, and I appreciate the colleagues here that we're trying to do the best we can with the follow-up that Ken is showing us. Moving right along, Madam Clerk.
Receipts of communications and petitions. Letter from East Cleveland City School Superintendent Myrna Lord Corley. Dear Councilman King, this missive is in response to a communication I received from all members of East Cleveland City Council relative to the capacity of Shaw High School students and the willingness of the East Cleveland School District to partner with the city to work on city-related projects. I am confident that such a partnership can be planned and implemented. Suffice to say, the aforementioned will provide our students with the opportunity to participate in activities that will be both purposeful and positively impactful. Next, pending legislation and support, petition for annexation circulated by the administration, which was sent to the council office from a concerned resident. Petition for annexation to the City Council of the City of East Cleveland, Ohio. We, the undersigned resident electors of the City of East Cleveland, Ohio, who are currently registered to vote, hereby represent our desire that the City of East Cleveland be annexed into the City of Cleveland, Ohio for corporate municipal purposes only. We filed this petition pursuant to RC 709.24 Etzquay and requests that the City Council of the City of East Cleveland take all necessary steps pursuant to law. This includes but is not limited to passing an ordinance declaring its intention to enter into negotiations with the City of Cleveland within 30 days of receiving this petition, submitting a certified copy of said ordinance to the City Council of the City of Cleveland, appointing 3 commissioners to represent the City of East Cleveland in negotiations, submitting the question of annexation to a vote of the electors at the next regular or primary election within 30 days of receiving the conditions of annexation from the commissioners and all other steps required by law. We hereby designate the following petitioners in the committee to be regarded as filing this petition or circulation: Gary A. Norton, Darrell A. Fields, Latanya Jeanette Foster, Lillian Ophelia Sharpley, Michael L. Smedley.
This is the petition, and the reason I asked the clerk to read this, this was purely for clarification, and correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk, the mayor is on record saying in the previous council meeting that the petition was merely for a study. And I wanted to let everybody know that clarification is the best thing in the world. If you understand something, then you can either do the next best step, but you have to understand what you're signing, and you have to read, because, and I keep repeating after a former councilman, Mr. O'Mays, Lord help me, if you don't read, you can't lead. So there is leaders out here in the population that need to read and not believe everything that you hear. So please, I'm just have made sure that she read this to you, and that was the reason she read it. We have, is that Mr. Leach here?
Yes.
We have Mr. Leach, and I asked Mr. Leach to come and talk. And Mr. Leach is from our Community Development Department. He's a quiet young man, but very effective. And I asked him to come and talk to us about the money that we are receiving from the Land Bank Initiative. And we have a list that we have acquired. And I will, we're talking about houses here. And if you want me to follow the amendment, if someone would make a motion to.
I make a motion that we amend the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Counselor King?
Yeah.
Counselor Martin?
Yay.
Counselor Baker?
Yeah.
Counselor Wheeler?
Yeah.
Counselor Thomas?
Yay. Sometimes I get carried away and forget to do the details, and I'm called on it, and I love that. We have received information about the monies that we'll be getting and the houses that are being torn down. And I will ask Mr. Leach, will he give us a short overview? I don't want to hold him too long, but give us an overview of what's happening and what we're going to receive and what it entails.
Regarding ordinance number,
Regarding what?
ordinance number 2115.
Regarding ordinance number 2115. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Under community development, we made application to the county for $1 million for the demo fund, round one. In that is 107 properties. The first round for community development, we're concentrating on residential. Second round, we'll try to concentrate on commercial, but the first round, we're concentrating on residential. So it's 107 structures that will be demolished. All of you should have a copy of the list that was presented to them. Right now, we have everything in to the county to begin demolitions June 1st, except for a resolution from council for the mayor to enter into an agreement with the county to sign the agreement. and we have to just show proof of our insurance.
Okay, is there any questions from?
Just one question. These 107 structures, does the council have any say in terms of, you got 3 ward council people and 2 at large, in terms of structures that they may want to see torn down? I know they can only do so much, and this is round 1, so there'll be round 2. Does the council have any say in terms of?
I shared that list with council.
No. Okay, and you shared the list, but do we have a say in terms of adding people to the list?
Right now we
the
have
107.
107,000, which is
107, not 107.
I'm saying 107 properties.
Okay.
They're estimated about 9,500 to about 10,000 per structure.
Per structure.
So that takes up the million.
Okay, well, my question is, and this is not to badger you, do we have say-so in terms of structures?
Right now,
I'm not in a ward, I'm at large, and my situation may be a little more difficult. But if we're working together, and I'm being positive, what should take place, we glad, I know nobody wants to live next to a broken down structure, but what should take place is a conversation between the legislative branch and the executive branch and we can reach some type of consensus. But just one-way street, I'm just raising that. I'm raising that, Barbara, everybody on council, in terms of we should have a say-so.
Well,
okay, now, this is my question to him, let him answer.
No, I not know,
Okay.
but what happened when they filled out the application, it was an expeditious situation and initiative to do that. And what I think you're asking, not if the council has the right to do this. Yes, you do. You have a right to do anything that is available there. But what I think you're trying to say is give us the opportunity to prioritize the property areas. And I think that when I talked to Mr. Leach before, I told him about, asking him, was it equally divided amongst the wards here?
Right.
And I went over the ward, and there is houses, properties in just about each ward. It's not so much in one ward overly, but if you want to talk to him about seeing which one can be done first, or on top of the list, or which ones you think is terrible in the area, then do that.
Right.
And I think that as far as asking, do we have the right? We have the right to do anything we want to do legally through legislation or through the codified ordinance, and you have property committees, all this that you can do. The reason I was asking Mr. Leach to come up here, because I wanted you to be face to face with him,
Right.
so that you could ask the direct questions that you're asking.
Well,
And I think that's what you asked.
Right. Here's what I'm saying. Nobody wants to live next to an abandoned structure, because from an insurance standpoint, it brings the property down. Okay. I'm not gonna hold this up. I saw it in the paper a week ago when we get the $1 million. We get the most of the counties in Cuyahoga County. But what I'm saying, in round 2, if we cannot sit down, I'm saying this to the legislative body and to the administration, then we need to hold up the whole thing. Okay. That's the fair thing to do. I'm not gonna hold this up. Okay. Even though my trepidation, when I say trepidation, is this. Over the last 5 or 6 years, in your position, we're getting a lot of money to tear stuff down. Okay, which means when people come in and do economic development, and they build these new structures, it's going to gentrify the area. In other words, everything's going to go up. Unless you got money, you won't be able to move in. This is what's been bothering me. I've been talking about it for the last 3 or 4 years about we need economic development. We know University Circle is coming in. Okay, if they tear everything down and they build these new structures and you can't afford them, just like Circle Lease in Barbara's ward, $900 to get in there. That's not including utilities. So you gotta, we're not getting a balance. In your position, and I'll sit down on this, you know that most of the residents have been in the city for 30, 40 years. The older ones, they need money to fix their roofs, their furnaces, and all like that. Can we get some money for that? That's that. I need to say that. We're not getting the balance. The balance is we get too much money to tear stuff down for economic development. And Robert has the most important ward because that's where they want to come in, University Circle, and do what they want to do.
Exactly.
What's driving this whole merger right now. Thank you.
Exactly. I think Mr. Leach is getting,
Okay. All right.
I am recognizing you, Mr. Mansell Baker. I think Mr. Leach is getting the gist of what you're saying. Mr. Baker?
Sir,
And I am recognizing.
Thank you, Madam President,
Okay.
for you recognizing my hand. Director, I know I spoke with you numerous times, and you know, to your defense, I have added some properties to I think we added one or two or some sort to